Tommy Tuberville has this grand idea that Caleb hates the absolute bejesus out of. Let's go ahead and get to it. He has an NIL plan. And I don't want to blast Tommy Tuberville because he's trying. Yeah, you're going to. He's trying to do his best. Wink, wink. All right. So what is this new plan?
First of all, this is a proposal that was in Congress last month, the Protecting Athletes, Schools, and Sports Act. I'll admit I wasn't paying attention too heavily at the time because it was being worked out. And you guys know, you never judge a bill. If you cover politics, you never judge a bill when it's first introduced because, Dave, you know, there's amendments and changes and thousands of things are going to be added to it before it actually gets passed. So I never judge it. Tommy Tuberville and Joe Manchin co-sponsored it. I was going to leave it alone until it came to the floor for an actual vote. But then Tommy Tuberville yesterday, in light of this lawsuit, decided to go on Outkick the Coverage and write an exclusive about the bill. And it's time for me to go nuclear on Tommy Tuberville for this. Because this is the giant fraud in the bill. And yeah, it's a fraudulent move and it's despicable.
Well, give us the plan first.
The plan is a national standard for NIL by creating a uniform contract. Basically, there are 4 components to it that I want to bring up.
Sounds like socialism to me. We're going to pay everybody the same despite what they may actually contribute to said business or program. That's what it sounds like.
Which is hilarious because Tommy Tuberville is one of the most, vocal anti-socialist people in Congress. So it's funny. And so, this bill, a national standard for NIL deals by creating a uniform contract. It would require now here's the one good thing. It would require universities to honor the original scholarship made to a student athlete, regardless of their NIL deal. Now, that's a good thing. I can get on board with that. I think you could too, right, Dave?
Yes, but I will tell you this. I had somebody that paid Tyler Barron a lot of money for autographs. I talked to this gentleman yesterday, and he paid him for autographs, and now they're worth nothing because he transferred. So there also needs to be something written into a contract, whereas, hey, I'm going to sign some things for Louisville, or I'm going to give some of that money back. So there are all kinds of – I just want to throw that out there.
That's the next part. The next part is another good thing. I actually kind of disagree with this, but it's a transfer portal standard. Theirs is you have to be committed for 3 years before you transfer. I think you should be allowed one transfer no matter what, and then you have to graduate before your second transfer if you have eligibility. What do you think of that? Fair? Not fair?
I think just like a job in the business world, you should be able to leave as much as you want. And I don't think it's good for college football, but to me, it's the law of the land in the United States of America.
Okay, that's fine. And maybe you could go free market with the Tyler Barron thing and say, look, you sign these autographs. If you transfer, then you have to pay me back. You make him sign a contract that says if you sign these autographs and you transfer, then you got to pay me back everything I paid you for this. So there's ways to work around it. Now, here's the part that makes me angry. And here's the part that sets me off. Because this is exactly what Tennessee and Virginia are suing the NCAA over right now.
May I say something real quick?
Yeah.
This rant brought to you by the Hemp House, the premier hemp dispensary online with a wide variety, great selection, and strict standards to ensure you only receive the best in CBD or Delta products. Hemp House Chat with 2Ts.com. Hemp House Chat with 2Ts.com. Use the promo code HOOK for 10% off. They bring you this rant.
And yes, this rant might have me on the opposite of hemp. But anyway,
you may need hemp after this.
I might, Ed Orgeron might be supplying me for this rant. All right. So basically, this bill would end pay for play, put a ban on it. Now, again, the antitrust laws basically make it clear that banning pay for play, banning a player's market value. There is no way. Let's put this out front, Dave. There's no way you can ban pay for play and pretend that that doesn't lessen the money a player makes, right?
Yes.
That's part of your marketability and selling point.
Yes.
Now, what happens? He also then goes on a rant against players unionizing because there's a proposal in Congress for players being allowed to collectively bargain. He says that would make NIL problems worse and no faster or better way to bring college sports to an end. Now, this is what's so hypocritical, and this is what makes me so angry. Okay, Every other sport where there's a salary cap or a limitation on what you can make or things like that, players collectively bargain, right? NBA,
Yes.
NFL, NHL, MLB. Tommy Tuberville is literally trying to pass a law in Congress right now that limits a player being able to market his own name while also not allowing him to unionize. I'm sorry, Tommy, it's one or the other. You can't have it both ways. And
I completely agree with the rant. I want to add something to it if you don't care.
okay.
Do you remember the talk about how NIL could create resentment because some player makes more than another player? Nico makes more than Ollie Lane or something like that. Do you remember all that talk?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's turned out not to be the case. There's not resentment. You understand the quarterback's the quarterback. Now, guys that return, like John Campbell, Cooper Mays, saw other incoming players getting money when they had proven themselves. So, of course, they wanted more money, and that's very reasonable. I don't have any problem with that whatsoever. But if I'm Nico, where the resentment would start is if I'm making the same as Ollie Lane. And I'm just picking Ollie Lane, backup offensive lineman out of nowhere, because that's where the resentment comes. I'm worth more to the program than Ollie Lane and probably the other 84 guys on the scholarship roster. So I should be able to get more money. Suddenly you've put a hard concrete ceiling on what I can make. That to me is as non-American as you could possibly be. You deal with politics a lot. I don't. But to look somebody in the face and call yourself an American and a capitalist, and I really don't know, is Tommy Tuberville Democratic or is he Republican?
He's Republican.
Okay. So to me,
Joe Manchin is a Democrat who is on board with this bill too. So it's bipartisan.
Well, for one, Tommy Tuberville wants to get his name in the news. I'm sure that's part of it. For two, this is I don't see how you can be Republican, which is about less regulations, and expect people to look at you seriously when you bring something up like this. That to me is just very two-faced. It goes against what your party stands for. And I'm not going to take sides on a political situation or a political stance, but I will take sides on this, and that is it's just stupid. I mean, to me, that sounds like that doesn't even fall in line with his own party. Your thoughts, Don Self, State Farm, customer service still matters. State Farm agent Don Self has his team take customer service very seriously for well over 40 years. They have built their business and reputation on taking care of their customers. Collegedale and Ottawa, your State Farm agent in the greater Chattanooga area, donself.net, donself.net, right below, or call 423-396-2126, 423-396-2126. So I wonder what other Republicans think about Tommy Tuberville's stance, or is this something that's so unimportant compared to what's going on in politics that it just flies under the radar for them?
Well, both, again, like I said, because this bill is bipartisan, both sides are in a way selling out what they claim to stand for. You're right. If you're a Republican, you believe in free market, maximize your value. And Tommy Tuberville is literally trying to pass a law that won't let you maximize your value. If you're a Democrat, you typically believe in worker rights and collective bargaining. But Joe Manchin is out here saying, we don't want to let the athletes collective bargain, even though we want to take away their free market potential. Now, how hypocritical is that? You know what I mean? Like...
No, I very, very hypocritical. Travis brings up the point. The only way to monitor it is if is to only allow the schools to pay the players. That's it. I agree, Travis, but this has to be the response. If you get caught cheating, if the school is paying you $1 million a year and you take $100,000 or you take $10 for signing something as you're leaving the stadium, you get the hammer, right? If you're getting $1 million and you're trying to find other ways and the school needs to monitor it, and you sign a contract that says, I won't take any more money, and it's determined that you take more money, you need to get the hammer and be suspended for a year, right or wrong?
No, I'm fine with that. I'm okay with that type of punishment. Now what I would say, I'm going to add into this a couple of things. Because Tommy Tuberville said something that Dave is so hypocritical for Tommy Tuberville, which is it's something you pointed out with the transfer portal. And he basically says, in his defense of this, he said, college athletics is one of the last great institutions that teaches our people priceless lessons like discipline, teamwork, and and commitment. Says the guy who left Ole Miss in the middle of a season. He's saying we should limit what athletes can do for their power because we're trying to teach them about commitment. What in the world are you talking about, Tommy Tuberville? You bailed on Ole Miss. Didn't he bail on Ole Miss before the last game of the season? And
it's been a long time ago. I'd have to look that up.
They had to hire David Cutcliffe to coach the bowl game, which never happens.
Oh, you're right. They did. Yeah, because that's David couldn't be a part of the national championship game, the Fiesta Bowl.